It's time for Around the Ozarks in 5, brought to you by the Butterfly Palace. Have the best day ever adventuring through the rainforest at the Butterfly Palace. And Springfield Greene County Park Board, reminding you to go play. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Forhetz.
Hey, good morning to you on Tuesday. It is a big day, back to school for Springfield Public Schools, the largest school district in the state. So parents are going to be busy this morning, dropping off kids, meeting new teachers, all the stuff that they do, and then they're free. Then they can go have coffee. They can go to work.
Getting it out the door is a challenge, and getting pictures with everyone smiling because you're in a hurry and you're like, let's go.
Take a picture.
Take a picture and smile. That used to be Ethan, actually. It's gotten better in our kid's older age, but he used to get so angry during pictures because they wouldn't smile right.
Everybody gets angry during pictures. They're ridiculous.
At the right time. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah. So have a good one, Springfield school students. Yay. Day 2 for many of the other surrounding districts. But yeah, watch out in school zones and crosswalks and all the places in and around schools. All right, we'll get to the news. A beloved basketball great has passed away at the age of 44. So young. Rob Yanders played for Missouri State and a lot overseas as well. But perhaps his legacy, if you read anything about him online, is what he poured into so many younger players in both basketball and in life. He has impacted many players who have gone on to do great things on and off the court. No official word yet on how he died, but his family and friends report that they are not aware of any sort of health issues.
Wow, it is so sad, and I know a lot of people who knew him. I didn't have the pleasure of knowing him, but I'd heard about him a little bit. But now I've heard a lot about him since his tragic, untimely death at 44, just so young, and such a tragedy.
I feel like I know a lot of people who knew him as well. I do not, but yes, they've all just given absolutely amazing man, it sounds like, and heartbreaking. So we'll let you know as we learn more. A juvenile charged in a fatal crash on July 22nd is no longer charged. They have been dropped against him. The case against the juvenile driver was dismissed without prejudice, meaning it could be refiled if there's more evidence. Initially, police thought the driver was a juvenile, but since then, they say there has been some doubt cast, perhaps, if that person was really driving that night. Prosecutors want to speak with some more witnesses.
Okay. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the issues with a handful of Missouri marijuana dispensaries. Been in the news lately. Suffice to say, they have their work cut out for them. Initially, we told you about 3 dispensaries that were suspended because the state could not verify some of the products had been properly tested. That led to nearly 63,000 marijuana products getting recalled by the Department of Health and Senior Services in Missouri, specifically the Division of Cannabis Regulation. Well, now we know of another issue at a separate facility, a manufacturing plant called Delta Extraction in Robertsville, which is kind of in the middle eastern part of the state of Missouri. The state says Delta Extraction was not properly tracking products. So now they are in trouble. And also, now the Missouri auditor is investigating the marijuana program overall. The goal, they say, is to determine whether the Department of Health and Senior Services is operating, quote, in a manner that is efficient, accountable, and transparent. So, I don't know where this goes from here, but we shall see.
It's a lot. I was reading an article in one of the papers about all of the issues, and it was just interesting because so much changed with this so fast regarding the Missouri Constitution. So obviously there's this now division that is specifically for cannabis regulation, but I mean, it hasn't been that long, and already there are multiple issues. And I mean, 63,000 products being recalled is no small feat. So it's going to be, that's why you say, I guess,
well,
you got your work cut out for you. And then
that's a lot of stuff. And whenever you're talking about people ingesting things, it's, you got to make sure there's the safeguards.
The liability issues. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a serious deal. And you're right. This this division was formed almost overnight to deal with
What will
the
become a massive, really already has, I mean, even in the first month,
yeah.
multi-million-dollar industry.
No,
So
it's huge. It's huge. So we'll see what happens as a result of the investigation and everything else related to that. And we have some breaking news. It is hot and it continues to be hot. Extreme heat continues to bake the Ozarks, near 100-degree temperatures really all week, which is crazy.
I actually thought that you had breaking news.
You thought I just had some breaking? That wasn't.
I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. This just in." I
I
don't even
sold it.
know what he's gonna talk about right now.
Well, I used to be a newscaster, so I know how to
You
sell
sold
things
it. You
like that.
did. You sold it.
Yeah. Because of that excessive heat, an excessive heat warning, aptly named, is in place until 10 o'clock Thursday night. But Friday is predicted to be 99 degrees, so I don't know why it ends Thursday. 90s through the weekend as well. Cooling centers are available in the Springfield area. They include libraries and community centers, and several schools and sports leagues have called off practices or moved them to cooler time periods. I know last night was very pleasant for me. I went to my boys' practice, our boys' practice, and it was inside at the new Sports Town indoor facility, and it was a little
You
chilly
weren't
in
hot
there,
at
to be
all, were
honest with
you?
you. It was a little chilly in there. What?
I said, "And you weren't hot at all, were you?"
I was not hot at all. No, I was cold. In fact, I was like, "Can we open some of the doors and let some of this
Yeah.
cold air out? Because it's freezing
Meanwhile,
in here
I was sitting in a swimming pool area, so it's a
outside
little toasty in there
or
because I
inside."
wasn't in the water. No, inside.
Inside, yeah. It's
Yeah,
little humid.
a little humid. The natural state is seeing a lot more natural disasters. Talking about Arkansas, of course. In the past 20 years, the number of natural disasters in Arkansas increased by 186%. The group Quote Wizard used data from the National Centers for Environmental Information to come to that conclusion. No word on why such an increase.
It's interesting. I'm trying to remember some sizable disasters in Arkansas. I think there were some tornadoes,
Tornadoes,
obviously.
that's for
Yeah, there were
sure.
tornadoes recently.
Some earthquakes too. I can remember several
But those
earthquakes.
well, yeah, but those weren't damage causing. This had to cause like a more than some $1 million limit worth of damage. So earthquakes didn't do that.
Flooding as well. They had some
Yeah,
flooding.
Flooding's been
Yeah.
a big problem. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of natural disasters, we've been telling you about Tropical Storm Hillary bringing torrential rainfall to Southern California, and now three other different tropical storms are forming in the Atlantic, all of them developing over essentially a 24-hour time period. Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti have all been warned of devastating rainfall totals very likely to come in this week that we are currently in, depending on the day and the time where you are on the map.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Wildfires, Hawaii, in the Northwest, Canada. The earthquake that hit California didn't do damage, but it was an earthquake nevertheless during this tropical storm that's dumping all the rain on California. And now down in the potentially headed toward the Gulf. I mean, some of them have models are tracking it into Texas. So we'll have to be watching what happens with those storms in the next several days. Meanwhile, classes are now underway at Missouri State University, and it just set a couple of records. That's cool. MSU now has the largest number of first-time college students ever in their history. Nearly 2,700 first-time college students. So they're not transfers, but first-time college students. That could be any age, but that's up more than 600 over last year. MSU also set a new record when it comes to graduate students. There are now nearly 4,300 graduate students enrolled on campus at
Mm,
Missouri State University. So it's getting busy over there.
it is. That's exciting for them. And now to Drury. Hundreds of freshmen at Drury spent the day giving back to the community, donating their time to work on different service projects, including over with Ethan at Convoy of Hope. How about that? They filled buckets with essential relief supplies there for the people who just survived a natural disaster, depending on where you are on the map, depends on what kind. But some of the more than 500 buckets will go to Maui, which are dealing with wildfires, and California dealing with, again, the flooding and some damaging winds.
Yeah, I would guess most of those would go to the California area because their buckets filled with a lot of cleaning supplies. And anybody who's ever experienced any kind of flooding in their house knows what a disaster it leaves behind. The water gets up into your house, it's there for a little while, and then it quickly recedes, and you're stuck with mud, yeah, on in your carpet. It's just it's a disaster. So there's a lot of cleaning supplies, soap, and those sorts of things, just to help people get rid of the mess in their house. It's a
Yep.
real problem.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, hey, I hope you have a great day at school if you are headed that direction right now. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning. Maybe you're listening on your way to school. And if you are, thanks for doing that too.
We appreciate it very much. Tell your friends. We'd love to have more folks joining us. And make sure you stay tuned for Wake Up Weather
All
with
right.
meteorologist Abby Dyer. It's coming up.
Have a good
See you.
one.